Hello, guys. It's 9 p.m. on a Sunday night. I'd say one of the few good things of being single, is the fact that I can sit in the office at 9 p.m. on a Sunday night and answer questions that you guys have. So let's start because there are some questions that Kevin was asking. Very, very good questions. We need to really bring more light onto what exactly is going on. They're more the vision kind of questions, and it's much faster, much easier to explain them, with the video, with the sharing of the screen, as opposed to just try to explain this with the text. The reason why we want everybody to be completely up to speed on everything is because if you guys are up to speed on everything, if you guys really know what's going on, it's much easier for you to make sales for us, right? Help us make sales. Let me actually share the video too. I'm here. I thought it was on. Okay, so let's go. Questions were like this. We had a couple of questions. So the first one was, what is the purpose of the box? What happens in the box? Assume the boxes have processing power. Does that add to the processing power of the AI in a distributed fashion? If not, is that something that is planned? Also, is there a flash ROM? So let me actually put these questions here. So what happens in the box? I suspect there's incredibly basic information, but believe, okay, whatever. So I assume the box of processing power. Does that add to the processing power of the AI in distributed fashion, blah, blah. Is there a flash ROM in the box that contains the software needed for each node? If so, is the expectation that it will be upgraded periodically? And then Charles tried to answer some of these questions. Then Kevin went on and said, hey, my assumption is that there is a flash ROM present that can only be updated in careful fashion to avoid hacks, correct? And then what will the box ever need upgrading? And what correlation is there between AI power and number of boxes on the network? You mentioned that there are only 9,000 complete ledgers for Bitcoin, and drew a comparison in regard to the value of the network and the number of the boxes. But aren't we talking apples and oranges? I mean, 10,000 apples and 10,000 oranges are more valuable than 100 of each fruit, but they are different fruits with different values, correct? So is the correlation tighter than I think? So a couple of things are correct, a couple of things are not correct. So we have the box. The first question that preceded all these questions from Kevin, and Kevin, great questions. We have a computer, say a PC, old school PC, right? There's a keyboard, there's a freaking mouse here, there's a keyboard, there's a laptop, this is a screen. Okay, and we have a box. So the question is, why can't we just install everything on the box? Oh, sorry, on the PC. Why do we have to sell the box? If this is just a software inside the box. The box works in the following way. Again, there's AI. AI is in the cloud. So servers. So think about IBM Cloud or Amazon Web Services, AWS, right? Whatever. Like we have our own servers using DigitalOcean, for example, for some of them. So AI goes to the box and gives you the signals to the box. The software within the AI. So now this Raspberry Pi here, the Raspberry Pi has a software. What does the software consist of? It consists of the Ronin OS, so Ronin operating system, right? And it consists of the trading bot. Now, we could just do the trading bot. We don't have to do Ronin OS. And some of you guys are saying, well, many guys in the believers group finally understood it's okay, right? Like, mostly, leaders, let's put it this way. Some of the believers are still saying, well, you know what, the box is late. Well, here's the thing, guys. The trading bot aspect itself is easy to build. That aspect did not take us a lot of time at all, maybe a month. Yeah, there is some still like a bug right now regarding the trading bot, but it's a really easy bug. So the fact that we are trying to cannot fix it sooner than we should is because the developers that are working on this right now, it's summertime, the guy got married, so it's like he's not like super active. So we're trying to figure out like a faster option of figuring the trading bot option. So the trading bot itself is an easy thing, but it's not about the trading bot that we cared about. It's about the Ronin operating system we cared about. Why did we have to include Ronin operating system in the first place onto that mini computer? Like Raspberry Pi itself is a mini computer, so there's a mini computer inside. Why did we have to install the software? Why do we have to create our own operating system? So you have Windows, you have, Linux. and now you have RoninOS. So we built RoninOS in Unix from blocks in order to make sure that whatever the update is out there, all the boxes will automatically get this update. That's the whole point. So if we are to update the trading bot, so let's say the trading bot version V1, right? Let's say we do version 2. You guys won't have to do anything. All you have to do is make sure the box is connected to the Wi-Fi. So V2 will automatically get uploaded through the Ronin operating system onto each box. That's what took forever. The trading bot itself is really easy. The industry right now out there, 3 commas, Gecko, fucking, like all these guys, like, I don't know, forgot the name of that other guy. This companies, all they do is a trading bot. Okay, trading bot is really fucking simple. It's really simple. You just have the APIs and connect them. Yeah, there are some problems with the APIs. Like Charles knows that there's some problems with them, right? Like, because he's trying to do automated trading. Yes, we also have a problem. But those problems are nothing compared to the problems we had when it comes down to the actual operating system. So the operating system is the key that nobody has right now. Well, maybe some do, but none of the ones that I mentioned have that. We already have it. So our own Ronin operating system. That stuff will make sure that whatever the updates out there, it will be automatically updated. Now, the next step at some point of time later is the blockchain software. In order to turn each box into a node, we don't have it yet. We didn't start working on this yet. We're gonna start working on this when we're gonna sell 200 plus boxes. So let's do 200 boxes. When we sell 200 boxes, that's when we start working on the blockchain software. Now, how will this blockchain software will get onto the box? Again, it will get there through the running operating system. That's how it's done, right? So we have running operating system that includes all the updates. Now, how exactly is it going to work? Well, we have the web server where we're going to be uploading all the updates, just like it works with any updates you guys have on your Apple device or Android device or PC. So, and then whatever the updates from the web will go directly to the specific Raspberry Pi of this specific box. So therefore, in order to get these updates, you just have to be connected to the Wi-Fi at all times. Well, especially during the updates, right? So that's basically what's happening inside the box, right? So the box is a fully functional thing with its own operating system. Trading bot is one element. Blockchain software will be another element with the wallets and all that other stuff. Now, why, on the other hand, can we just not, use this on the PC? Well, now you know why it cannot be used on the PC, because we have our own operating system, right? Because many of you guys still think we only have a trading bot. Trading bot does not take 6 months to write. If it does take 6 months to write, that's not a good fucking organization. It took us 1 month to work on the trading bot, and 5 months, 4 months to work on the operating system. And even the operating system didn't take that long, because it was an operating system plus there was an user interface. So it was OS. Then we had to deal with the UI. So the guy who left, he was responsible for the UI, but he didn't start. Therefore, the other guy who was working on that, he was doing both OS and UI. But the guy who was supposed to do UI left right when he was supposed to be finished with the UI, with nothing done. So the first guy said, okay, I'll take over the UI. Then after this, the bot. And then after this, then after this, the blockchain. Okay, so that's what took so much time. The reason why we're late is because the guy they started simultaneously, because they could have done it simultaneously. Obviously helping each other a little bit. But this stuff was missing because the other guy didn't do shit. He basically lied to us. Okay, so that's what happened. And then there's some little bugs here and there, but bugs happen at all times. Like, bugs happen everywhere, right? So at this point of time, bugs alone, probably delaying us by, I'd say, a month and a half, the bugs. So this is one of the reasons why you cannot do the PC. Because if you have a PC, you have to basically, we'll have to create some kind of virtual machine or something on your PC. The operating system will have to be somehow coinciding with the existing with your current native operating system. Or you can do an application, and this application on your computer will just be automatically updated. So then the question is, why don't we still do the computer, the PC? Because it's clearly possible to do that on the PC. Well, if you don't do this on the PC, because of a couple of issues. First of all, when you have your personal laptop or personal computer, whatever, keyboard and whatever, this is a PC. You work on this. It's either a work computer or it's a home computer. If it's a work computer, you have to work on it. If it's a home computer, you have to do, surf internet, watch very interesting videos on it, of very interesting, whatever, with very interesting actors. You have to you have to watch some movies. You probably have to download some not very legal stuff, not very licensed software at all times, right? So you sometimes have to open up crazy emails. Sometimes it's like virus emails, right? So you won't be able to make sure that your thing is operating 24/7 with no delays when you have a work or home computer, because the purpose of a work or home computer is to either work on it or to enjoy yourself, right, on it. So having a specific software dedicated installed on your computer is a really bad idea. Moreover, we are using right now 128 gigs of memory, RAM. So not RAM, just memory. So that's gonna take some part of your memory disk. The processes on the back end will also slow sometimes you down if you install this whole thing on your personal computer or your laptop or your work computer. So you just don't want this experience, because you will have to, your work will struggle because the bot is trading. It's much easier just to have a box which whole purpose is not to surf internet, is not to check your email, is not to to enjoy movies, is just to trade. That's all it does. Dedicated machine just for trading. Plus, we're limiting each box to $10,000 per box. So if you, for example, have $100,000, you will have to trade with 10 different PCs, because we'll limit each software to just 10 grand. To which you'll say, well, how about we then increase the limit from 10,000 to 100,000? I'll tell you why we cannot do this in a second. All right, so $10,000 is the limit per box. So if you want to have more, trade 100 grand, you have to have 10 PCs. All good luck, buy them. It's much easier just to buy the box. 10 boxes. So that's, I think, so a couple of questions that I answered right away is, does it ever need to be upgraded? Theoretically, no. That's the whole point. So obviously, if you're gonna fuck it up a little bit and there's some bug, then we'll ask all of you guys to open the boxes and just do certain things. It's gonna be easy stuff, but we'll ask you to do that, or maybe ship it back to us and we'll just redo it. But ideally, you won't have to do anything. Ideally, you just have to make sure the box is connected to the Wi-Fi, and all the upgrades will come through automatically. You won't have to ever upgrade it, ideally, if everything works out. Now, the second thing is, the second question is, again, PC versus the box. So PC is just not the best thing. PC, you have to do your own things on PC. PC is not scalable. You cannot have 10 PCs. You think you can, but it's not going to be possible. Plus security issues. Security issues are absolutely huge. There not enough education done on the security of holding your crypto on your computer. It's just not enough done. Many people just store this on their PCs and they think it's safe, and it's really not safe until the first virus strikes you, until you open some crazy email for whatever reason that install some kind of spyware in you, and then install your password, and they know your get your private key, they know your public key, you screwed, right? So I mean, all that stuff is really, really important, and you have to be very secure. So the only way to hack into the box is to physically sit next to it. So the only way to get to the box is, let's assume that it's me, Peter, here. That's Peter. So that's my box. The only way for anybody to get to this box is if you sit next to me physically, you know the password to this box, then you'll be able to hack into this. And Kevin, how are you? And I'm actually responding to your questions, almost done. And even if you are able to hack into this box, the only thing you can do at this point of time is just to manage my money for me. You won't be able to withdraw money because all this money is on the exchange. You won't be really able to do anything. You're just going to be able to, you're only going to be able to manage my money. So questions. No problem, Kim. No problem. I'm almost done, by the way. And I mean, it's gonna be recorded, so I gotta like shit it. You only missed the first probably 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So now let's proceed on to the second question. So I already responded to the question about the upgrades. So upgrades gonna be automated. So you won't have to do anything, like nothing. So it's not just a hard-coded software. It is a operating system that allows all the updates to be automatically updated. So whatever they are, if we update, for example, let's assume like one of the example. Let's assume we have right now that at first iteration we'll have Coinbase Pro. Coinbase Pro. We'll have HIT BTC and BQuant. Okay, let's assume that we add another exchange. Let's assume that we add BitHump, the Korean exchange. Okay. The first iteration, when we shipped you the boxes, you guys only have these exchanges. Now we added another exchange, BitHump. So when we load the BitHump software onto the central server, all the boxes connected to the Wi-Fi will check for the updates and update the and download the latest version of all the updates. So therefore, within a couple minutes, 15 minutes, maybe an hour, BitHump will be available on each device, on each box worldwide. That's kind of the idea. So now that's this. Now let's talk about the nodes. I think nodes is another thing that I touched upon. I think many people, Kevin, by the way, very good questions. I think many people really still don't get it. Like really don't get it. About the commission, for example, I think my most successful webinar was actually 2 weeks ago when we discussed this specifically, like all the numbers for the commission fees. I did mention the commission fees for months. I don't think people really got it. People really got it when I started writing stuff out. So ask more questions like this, because it's not like, I think majority of people really still don't even those people who stay with us for a long time, I don't think they still don't get it. So it's a tough concept, and I need to do a better job at explaining it, right? Because it really is a tough concept. So thank you so much for these questions. These are very valuable questions. So let's talk about the AI power being decentralized, etc. So at first, it's not going to be decentralized. At first, it's just going to be an AI power of the centralized servers by RoninAi. So RoninAi at this point of time has 9 strategies. Okay. Now, let's assume that by the end of the summer, if you guys sell 200 boxes, you say, okay, now you have unlimited, basically like infinite number of strategies. But let's assume it's like 100 strategies. Now you have 100 strategies. Some of the strategies will be developed by Charles for himself. Some of the strategies will be developed by you guys, like 100 strategies. All these strategies at first will be computed by the centralized servers of RoninAi. Because we don't have the network yet. We don't have the software of the blockchain software. It's still going to be done by RoninAi. When it comes down to AI itself, like the AI power, can AI power be decentralized? Some computation can be decentralized for sure. So let's assume that we have some centralized way of storing of inputs, of data. So we're storing them centrally, and then we are transparently giving it away. So that process of the black box, actual black box, not the black box that we have, the plastic one, but the black box as like ML, like machine learning algos. So that stuff could potentially be decentralized, potentially. But that's only going to happen when we do the blockchain, when we're going to be working on the blockchain software. And it's really not an easy task. It's really not an easy task. However, whether we achieve this or not, it's really not important. Whether the power of AI is good or not, it's really not important. Because all we have to do is we can still rely on centralized service for AI. It's not going to make us less of a decentralized, centralized entity. I mean, some people will say, well, you know what, you can put some input data, in such a way that you can control people. I mean, yeah, absolutely correct. But again, we could be supplying the data, and we'll allow anybody else to supply their own data. Right? So the decentralization will take place from the fact that RoninAi as an entity will still have its centralized data collection centralized. But we will allow other people and other organization entities to join. And when they do join, they'll be able to provide their own input data that could then be integrated into their own black box machine learning algos that then will be able to later get into their own strategies. Right? So it's a very complicated process, and that process needs to be made pretty user-friendly. And that's an issue. So there are a number of issues to have like a kind of decentralized AI or any kind of decentralization in terms of computing, decentralized computing. You have to have, the most importantly, you have to have really, really clean backend. You need to know exactly what needs to be done. And you have to kind of forecast all the possibilities and all the things that users will want to do, which is extremely fucking difficult. Even the first iteration still has to be somewhat value add to the user. Otherwise, it's going to be a failure. So in order for us to think about exactly, like to architect exactly what users will want, it's a really difficult issue, because so far I think the only person who will want to fuck with this stuff is Charles. Like, I mean, let's be honest. I think Charles will be the only person, and it's not enough of a sample for us to know exactly what Charles wants. And what about other guys like Kevin, like yourself? We need to figure out how to create it in such an easy fashion that anybody can do this. Like anybody can do this with no coding skills, with not too much like information being overloaded in their heads. Has to be super fucking simple, and that's an issue. So, but in order to create that simple architecture, we first of all have to figure out what options and what possibilities and what things need to be included, and then create a super easy user interface and user experience. And with all due respect, like I was talking to Max today, I was like, well, like, let me tap it in. I thought, well, people have, some people cannot set up their Telegram bot still. And Max is like, well, how can it be easier? And we both agreed that the version that we have now compared to the version we had in September 2018, this version right now is so much more client friendly, so much more explanatory. But people still have issues with this. Like we have step 1, step 2, step 3, and people still cannot fucking set it up. Right? It's a real issue. So we like really don't know how to make it more simple. Right? So because people just don't read stuff anymore. People expect to fucking just like click. But this is not like, this is money management. This is not an easy task. Like it's really not easy. Like it's not just plain Angry Birds where you install and fucking, So we need to somehow figure this out, because when it comes down to creating your own strategy, it has to be really simple, really simple. Because if Telegram bot is difficult, like if this is difficult, like, I mean, creating the strategy will be extremely difficult, no matter how we simplify it. So we still have to simplify and dumb it down. But dumbing it down, I do not mean to dumb it down in terms of functionality. I mean, dumb it down in terms of people do not want to understand what machine learning algorithms are. They don't want to know what AI is. They really don't. They don't know what the strategy is. They really don't know what the stop loss is. They really don't know what the exit and entry points are. They don't care. So we need to figure this. We are working on this like on the back of our heads while we're figuring out the bugs and finish up the box and doing some marketing moves and doing some sales moves and doing some obviously community work. It's on our, on the back of our heads in terms of how can we customize it. We started thinking about the customization back in March of this year and already had some ideas, but that's going to be an issue. So that is the most difficult thing. As far as decentralizing AI, will it help in terms of more powerful signals, etc.? Not necessarily. Again, not necessarily. Like people put too much stuff into decentralized computing, which is a huge thing, but so far, unfortunately, centralized computing is more efficient and cheaper, and because of the regulations, pretty much more trustworthy. Now, there are definitely some security issues, but security issues when it comes down to our data. Okay, so somebody steals market data for Bitcoin. Okay, great. Are we affected at all? We don't care. It's just fucking data, right? So as far as storing the algos, storing the algos and potential inputs and potential strategies, that definitely is a little bit more sensitive. So that stuff ideally would be kind of decentralized, so that we all have it. But it's going to be at the same time open, so there's nothing to hack, basically, right? Like that's the whole point of decentralization. Like it's really towards public permissionless, where it's public information, somewhat encrypted, but still public. So that's kind of the long answer to the AI aspect of it. But now let's talk about the nodes. So when it comes down to the nodes, We mentioned that Bitcoin has 9,000 nodes. Okay. Now I spoke to Max today, to our brains behind this whole thing, our major developer, the genius, and I'm like, Max, so how much do we really need? Like, how many nodes do we really need? And obviously the answer is still the same. The answer is 500 nodes. So we still need 500 boxes. I'm like, okay, like, what are some ways we can get there? Blah blah blah. And he's like, well, honestly, we're doing kind of okay, but yeah, sales, like, we need definitely more sales. I'm like, yes, I totally agree. We need more sales. We need more believers. Not just sales. We don't need sales. We don't need just like some people just to buy 200 boxes. No. We need people, who will follow us and join us and be part of our community. That's the only way. They need to vouch for it, for the project, for this whole concept, for the vision. And that's really important, because people who will just buy it, they'll buy it easy, and they'll cancel it easy too. They'll stop using it easy. So when it comes down to 9,000 nodes of Bitcoin, we're obviously talking about a very high hashing power. So actually the 9,000 is a huge number. It's a pretty high hashing power. You need to have the entire ledger stored on your computer, but yet it's only 9,000. Only 9,000 entities worldwide, and that's what creates Bitcoin. And obviously there's nothing we can do in terms of, like, there's nothing we can say like Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is like the savior. It's like, it's the project, and there's nobody who says anything bad about Bitcoin. It's really not. Like, there's nothing you can say. Like, everything was done from the creation of the from the business perspective and incentive perspective and technological perspective, and even anonymity of Satoshi Nakamoto, who purposely did not, who purposely didn't want to, hopefully it's not coincidence, hopefully actually thought it through, that that it's like he does not want to reveal himself, etc. So 9,000 have a pretty high hashing power, huge network with huge credibility, with huge marketing behind it for 10 years. Obviously, the fact that right now, I checked it out, it's $200 billion. It's a combination of everything. It's a combination of $200 billion, right? It's a combination of huge marketing. Everybody knows Bitcoin, right? Lots of trading volume, the inspiration for all, respect and credibility, amazing technology, huge network of developers and users, people who made money on Bitcoin and believe in it, even if they got burned later, they still love it subconsciously. So it's a great, it was touched many hearts and hands and brains and wallets, and even bankruptcies, right? So it's a huge thing. It's a great thing. And there's no way we can get to $200 billion like in a year or two. It's impossible. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Like, the community loves it. We love it. We're not here to compete with Bitcoin. We're actually here to empower Bitcoin. But they only have 9,000 nodes. Let's be realistic. 9,000 nodes worldwide present $200 billion valuation. And people are not necessarily willing to die for Bitcoin. I mean, they love it, but they're not necessarily willing to die for it. Right? Like, if something, if shit hits the fan, how many people will actually stay true to it, right? So it's a big community, but it's a pretty loyal community, but it's not the most loyal community, right? Like, compared to religious organizations, for example, or compared to like mafia, right? Or compared to army, right? To the army, where you have to, like, there are lots of organizations that did create this loyalty to a much higher level and standard. So when it comes down to us, the genius of in my opinion, of the fact of what Max was able to create as the concept, is we need 500 nodes, right? 500 nodes. And I'm like, okay, so what's up? Like, what's the statistics? And on average, we have about three boxes. So I'll say 500 boxes. And on average, we have 3 boxes per person right now. So in reality, we only need 150 people. I'm telling Max, like, I knew the statistics, but I just hit my head today, like early on. Like, we spoke for, I don't know, probably 4 hours today, 4 or 5 hours today. So we only need 450 people. And how many believers do we have right now? 25. Check the believers group, right? 25 people. Well, remove me from that equation, Max, 23, right? So we are like, we almost there, like 1/6 or 1/7 of so almost 15% we already filled. We need 150 people only worldwide, and we're gonna get to 500 boxes. And those 500 boxes will become 500 full nodes. full nodes. Now you'll say, well, the hashing power of our boxes is not as high as Bitcoin's. Fine, it's not. It's definitely not. Well, 500 people that we have, or 150 people that we have, has not stayed with the project for such a long time as people, as 9,000, entities or full nodes stayed when it comes down to Bitcoin. Sure. But once we have 500 full nodes with 150 devoted, loyal people, this project has to be a multi-million project right away. Not a billion, not necessarily a $1 billion project, but definitely a multi-million project. It's 500 nodes, for God's sake. 500 operatable nodes. The more nodes you have, the more trustworthy your network is. If Bitcoin tomorrow, for whatever reason, has 100,000 nodes, it's going to be even more trustworthy. And the valuation is not going to be $200 billion anymore. It's going to be in the trillions. It's all about, it's very proportional to two things. It's proportional to number of transactions. That's what many people don't realize. And number of nodes. So if you have these two things maximized, your blockchain is a legit blockchain. 500 is enough, is a good enough number. Can it be more? Fuck yeah. But with 500 boxes, we can definitely expand. As far as number of transactions, that's why we want to do high frequency trading, because the more transactions we have through high frequency and the more strategies we have, and the more strategies people are computing in a decentralized fashion, right? The more transactions we have as a network. Right? So you can have 10,000 nodes and one transaction a day. That's a fucked up blockchain. You can have 10,000 transactions per second and one node like Visa. That's also fucked up. It has to be both in kind of like in parity. And it's not about scalability. Like people say, well, scalability is an issue. Like if you have too many nodes and scalability is struggling. You don't need 10,000 transactions per second for Bitcoin. You don't, because people do not transact that often. They just don't yet. And when they will, it's an easy issue to fix. And people say, well, like Visa and MasterCard is like the only advantage, and Hyperledger is like the only advantage they have is transactions per second. So fucking what? SQL is probably faster than whatever these guys have. Just a simple SQL. Like you don't need that many transactions per second. They created that myth, and they're actively trying to promote that myth. It's not an issue. Scalability is not an issue. Scalability only relates, for the most part. There's like two issues that like people against Bitcoin have. First one is like transactions per second is very slow. Like some transactions get approved for an hour. So fucking what? Transactions in the bank get approved for 3 days. So fucking what? 3 days it takes. 3 days. Right? After hours, it doesn't work at all. Weekends and holidays it's closed. So 3 business days. Right? If it's a wire, if it's domestic or international wire, 7 to 10 days. Easy. Could be faster, but usually 7 to 10 days. And you have to have a huge staff of people, and the transaction is going to be expensive. I sent a transaction back to, I just sent one transaction, paid $50 for this transaction. That was not a lot of money I sent. I should have used Bitcoin instead. That's a bank operation, international bank. And at the same time, and the second thing they have against Bitcoin is like, oh, it eats so much power. Power is an issue. Power is an issue. Okay, like give me a fucking break. I mean, compare this amazing Bitcoin energy spending. Compare that to how much banks are spending on on the fucking, just like look at the plastic straws, right, that they drink in the office. Just compare that and see how much energy they're spending. This is just the straws and the paper and the energy and the conditioners and the light and all this kind of stuff. So like, just let's not fucking go there, because organizations, corporations are the ones who fucked up this whole, if there's any global warming out there, which I do not believe in, it was the corporations who fucked it up, right? Including banks. So don't tell us that Bitcoin all of a sudden is the evil, is the one that is actually misspelling everything, because everybody's doing that. So, but that's basically, so 500 nodes with 150 people alone should be enough for us to create a multi-million organization for sure. When it comes to, in order for us to get to a billion organization, based on our math, $500 is also enough. However, you never know. So ideally that number will grow. But when the bucks are available and you guys are happy with the results, and you guys are, and you guys are loyal and active, and you tell your friends and friends of friends and blah, 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 I mean, this community will just grow. So 500 will be just the first milestone leading to 1,000, to 2,000 to 30,000 to 5,000 to 10,000 boxes. Therefore, the network will still get to that point at some point of time. Plus, we're going to do the ICO, with the crowd sale to help facilitate this whole thing. Plus, we have huge presence amongst, we're already pretty, evident, like we're already pretty popular. Spoke to somebody from Russia. I didn't talk to this guy for a couple of years. And he's like, well, I actually heard about some kind of box. I'm like, okay, can you check it out where? And he's like, oh yeah, they actually were talking about you. They're actually talking about RoninAi. Interesting. The guy's from Russia. I didn't talk to him about this project at all. So long story short, it's all about marketing and promotion, business development. So that's why we are really, really heavily putting so much emphasis onto the network effect right now. And people really need to understand it's all about the network. It's really all about the network. So if you guys help, you're gonna help yourselves. That's how it counts. And we here are volunteering to help unionize your efforts in a sense, kind of like centrally manage your efforts to create a decentralized app. That's kind of what we're here for, right? That's what I'm here for. But obviously, I need efforts. I need those efforts from you. So now, Kevin, question: our passwords and accounts will not be centrally stored, right? Your passwords and accounts in the box will be stored locally on your box. Of course, that's the whole point. Absolutely, that's why you need the box. Yeah. So that's kind of I think it actually was a half an hour thing. Good. So that was kind of the some of the answers to the questions that we had. In terms of correlation, you also asked about the correlation of the number of nodes and the AI power. It's not how it works. AI does not need that much power. What will need power, well, AI does need a lot of power when it's like bunch of strategies. So yeah, maybe at that point in time we'll think about decentralized computing. And that's definitely in the plans, but we don't know yet how to exactly execute it. But it's it's one of those like crazy ideas that we would like to potentially engage. However, it's not that. What really takes time is storing those strategies that do exist and the storage of the strategies. So the computation, the development of the strategies could be done on a central servers in a decentralized fashion. So it could be centrally stored, the actual algos, created by the community. However, it's like a Wikipedia, right? Like the community creates it and it's stored like on one server or like whatever, a number of centralized servers. However, the computation of the strategies going forward, that could be done decentralized. So what we could have is we could have a central menu of all the dishes we would like to serve today. But then each restaurant just takes each dish and just cooks it themselves and we don't know what the fuck they do. So imagine that kind of like analogy. So we could be the library of these strategies in a central fashion. There's nothing wrong with that because we don't compute it. We don't give it out to people. We just centrally store the algos. And those algos then could be going to you guys. And you guys can select whatever algo you would like to do and just process it yourselves locally. That's kind of the idea going forward. So, but that's going forward. This is really so far, probably year and a half, 2 years away if everything goes well. I wouldn't even focus on this. I would not it's not, at this point in time, you have to sell the fucking boxes. So in order to sell them, we have to say capital gains, potential rebates on the fees, obviously tokens. Hopefully at this point in time, it's just points, but these tokens, coins, they will hopefully grow up in value if the network overall goes up. And even if they don't go up in value, all the sales that receive from the boxes will definitely, some of the money will be spent on improving AI. So therefore, everyone will just get better AI. So that's the worst case scenario. So that's it, Kevin. Any other questions maybe before I hang up? It's 10 p.m. I would like to actually finish some work. I'm probably going to leave at midnight as usual. Though it will help me sell the boxes by... Oh, absolutely. No, Kevin, absolutely. For sure. No, exactly. That's why I'm asking these questions. Of course. But I think this stuff that I just described 2 years from now, that's so far away. One thing that I don't want to do when I talk to people, I do not want to hype things at all. At all. I want to be enthused about the project. I want them to be enthused about the project. I want them to say, hey, that's what we have right now already. Let's say that's maybe 20% or 30%. That's what we could have in the next 6 to 12 months. Based on actual, not because we're wishy-washy or we need the money, but that's what could be done. Say in 6 to 12 months, we already have the money for that. That's what's going to be done 6 to 12 months from now. and that's how much money we need. But when it comes down to like 2-3 years from now, I think that's so far away. I just don't want to be. I just don't want to look like another fucking ICO. That fucking overpromised, and then they figured out after they raised money. No offense. Okay, one last thing. This guy from fucking Pillar Project, he's on my LinkedIn. I don't know him personally. He's on my LinkedIn. I really don't want to I respect him. He's a great entrepreneur, started 25 projects. I watched his video today on one of the podcasts, 25-minute podcast. Pillar Project, he's the CEO there. And he says, I raised $20 million or whatever they raised, $22 million on the ICO. And then he says this, he says, oh, you know what? And then in December, all that grew to $150 million, but I couldn't sell it. I couldn't sell it because the banks asked me for KYC ML. I could not cash out $150 million. And then, long story short, then it went down to $73. Now it's $5 million worth. And therefore, this project is more slim than it used to be because it doesn't have 22 or 25 or whatever the money he raised originally. It has 5. Well, first of all, Ether is not $73 anymore. Okay, so the guy basically took the highs and says, well, I would be able to sell at the highs. And then he says, but you know what? But now it went to the very low, and that's how much money I have. This is such fucking pile of horse shit. Such pile of horse shit. And the guy on LinkedIn behaves, with all due respect, I don't know him personally, but he behaves like he's the most, like, he's trolling people who do not give really true statistics, yet he's not giving true statistics himself. I thought before he was at least honest, 100% transparent. He is not. He said, oh, so I knew that basically implied that he knew that the December 2017, January 2018 was the pick. So he knew he would have to sell. He didn't know shit. That's why he was holding all this Ether. Because I'm telling you, if you have $150 million of Ether, you could have fucking sold it. You could have gone to some fucked up country, paid them $10 million, and they would have sold you the whole fucking thing, and then you would be able to transfer this money clean. 100%. 100% legal. That would clear this fucking thing for you. Some bank in Malaysia or bank in Russia, some fucking bank, that would clear this for you. Just pay them $10 million. He didn't know shit. And then he said, oh, and now I'm holding it, and now it went down to 5 million. So what, 5 million is not enough for you to do your stupid fucking wallet? Like, with all due respect? I mean, that's what I don't want to do. Like, the guys clearly, when they were raising and they were saying, oh, Pillar Project is basically some kind of wallet. It's a magnificent wallet. We're going to revolutionize everything. Okay, why the fuck is it not delivered? Well, he says something is delivered yet. I don't know what's delivered. I really don't know what's delivered. And even if it's delivered, only technology is delivered. What about the customer base? And the guy says you have to sell things first. As a startup, your main thing is to sell. Okay, how many users does he have? I mean, why is he not selling his project right now after the ICO? Before the ICO, he was selling it a lot. After the ICO, I didn't see many things on LinkedIn because he's posting quite often. Apparently, he migrated to. What I'm trying to say is, I don't want to be. And he's a successful guy. I think he even did a TED talk. He wanted to. Either was almost selected as a dean of Stanford, something, or like he's a very smart dude. But I don't want to be like, still like kind of you know. So I don't want to be that like. When we are good at, like Kevin, for example, when you're going to be talking to, to your network, I don't think we should be hyping things up. Oh, 3 years from now, because we don't fucking know how it's going to look 3 years from now. We will realize that it's not possible, but he already sold the idea. What we know is possible for sure is what I'm selling, right? All the time. Good AI that fucking works. Why? Because it works already. Because we have it. Great track record. People are making money, and we can be better. And I'm going to show you some data. The data that we collected, I think right now we have anywhere from 50 to 100 columns of data. The new data that we'll start having, I think it's anywhere from 500 to 1,000 columns of data. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. The guys already started collecting it. It's amazing. And AI people are working on this since March. So we have AI, and maybe not the best of the best of the best in the space, but definitely one of the best based on the feedbacks we're receiving and based on how many people are loving this thing. The box is ready, almost ready. We're just fixing some bugs. I mean, just a trading bot at this point in time. So the box is definitely ready. And the blockchain software is what we can do because we have some expertise in the blockchain software. Why? Because we've been consulting government projects. We've been consulting. I was invited to some of the countries that I would not like even to mention here, only in person, to what kind of countries I went to. Read the news. 10% of all the projects that you read that existed or were branded or were mentioned in the news in 2018, I was part of. Me personally, not our company, me personally, as part of the company. I was personally traveling and talking to people and presenting and building use cases and architectures. So that we can do. Community, we're also building. So that we can also do. Negotiating with exchanges, we can also do, because I'm from Wall Street. I outplayed Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs invited me myself, like it was a department for department. So we first would have a drink, just our department, Citigroup department, and Goldman Sachs department. But the later would just invite me only. And when I was go there, we talk to just to themselves, just me. I would be the only person for my desk for my department, basically. It's called desks. Like my people, like my boss would say, you know what, if they offer you to, if you, they probably want to hire you. So, if anything, basically, it's up to you, because I make him shit ton of money as well. So, I mean, I know how to outplay Goldman Sachs. I'm not the smartest. I'm not George Soros, but I mean, based on the quality of the crypto exchange that I see right now, we can fucking outplay them as well. We just need some. So those I know we can deliver. So that's I think what we should be focusing on. As far as decentralized computing, or decentralized AI computation, that's so much more difficult. So at this point of time, let's just not kind of like, let's say yes, it's in the plans, but we don't know. Is the goal to exit the network by selling it to some big whale? Kevin, no. The goal of selling this whole network to the big whale was the goal of every single investor we spoke to, and that's why we're not talking to investors anymore. We stopped talking to investors, I think, third week of February. We stopped. We just stopped accepting the inquiries. We just stopped. We stopped reaching out to them ourselves, and we stopped engaging basically when they reached out, because that's what they want to do. They just want, because the big guys, they don't care about the network. They won't care about the network. Let's assume that it's a big guy when it comes into a hedge fund. So a big hedge fund will want just AI. They will kick all you guys out, so they don't need the network. They don't need you guys. In fact, they would like you not to see any of this analytics, because it's so fucking good. They would like to save everything for themselves. So they would just say, guys, bye, 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 and they'll get to take the AI. When it comes down to, say, a mutual fund, the mutual fund how will people realize that the capital gains? Which people? Specify that, please. What about the mutual funds, for example, or hedge funds, or any other, or pension funds? Since our network is global, all these big guys have all kinds of regulations that they can accept this kind of users, those kind of users, and it's a headache for them to get the network. So likely they'll just take AI as well as a tracker. I can just take the strategy, and they'll kick you guys out. It seems like what big whales will want to do, and that's what our investors, potential investors, told us. They told us verbatim that they do not want to see any contractual or any kind of other type of obligation for longer than 3 months with any of the users. That's what they said. When I asked why, they said, well, because chances are in 3 months we'll just kick the whole crew. We need to be in the position where we could kick everybody out and just focus on the AI. How will people realize capital gains, box owners? Well, you have your money on the. So again, I'm explaining this all the time, so I need to explain this better. So this is your. Let's assume this is your Coinbase Pro account. Okay, let's assume here you have $20,000. Let's assume you bought one box. This box connects to your exchange. Out of the 20,000, let's actually create this 30,000, so it's different. It takes $10,000, which you said like you want to trade. The other $20,000 just lying out there. So for the other 20,000, you can just leave it there or buy Bitcoin yourself manually. It does not matter what you want to do. With this $10,000, the box will automatically trade whatever. So all the gains will be on your exchange. The box has no money, does not hold anything. Like it has no money. It does hold the API keys. But the API keys are not the keys to the exchange. The keys to the exchange is what you have. The box will never have the keys to the exchange. The box will only have the access to the API. So if you want to log in to the Coinbase account, it's here. The login information is here. The API information will be stored here. So you realize gains, like let's assume you have 50%. So this $10,000 will grow to 15 grand. So that's what you have on the exchange. You still have $20,000 in cash, for example, you didn't do anything. So now your balance is $35,000. but that's purely yours. So this is the user, and this is the box. That's it. So that's how you realize your capital gains. So we never store, we never take your money. The money is always stored at the exchange. So we're not custodians. So the exchange is the custodian. So any other questions? So cool. Kevin, anything else? Uh-huh. Tap it. I'm just waiting, guys. I'm just waiting for Kevin to type in the question. So Kevin is asking, so let's suppose I collect 5 million tokens. I cannot use all of them. Can I resell? Of course you can resell. Absolutely. Here's the thing. Here's the brilliance of this whole project. The project makes so much sense. Not my idea, unfortunately. I'm not that smart, but that's what Max developed. It's crazy. So you have this box. Right now, RoninAi sells you signals for $1,200 a year. So for $1,200 a year, you get in 12 months of subscription. 12 months of subscription, and the box trades with the exchange through the exchange, right? So that's the first, that's the model right now. Once we sell enough boxes, we're gonna create a blockchain network, and that's why I really want to do the blockchain network as soon as possible, so you guys don't pay money, but you guys don't understand this for some reason. You guys think that like I will just go ahead and fucking sell the boxes. I have so many other things to do. This is my to-do list. I'm not sure if you see it, and it's just like it's getting like it's that's why I need to finish 7 things before I leave home today, and then I have this like another 12, and I'm pretty sure this 12 tomorrow will grow into 17. It's like never-ending to-do list. Like for the last year, I never finished everything. It's always like going with it. So like you think I have like yes, I need to sell it, but like I have to do so many administrative things. So it's crazy. Like developers left, I have to find developers. Like for God's sake, right? If I cannot find developers, I have to interview them. I have to find them. I have to create an ad. I have to fucking interview them. I have to pay them money or send them money. I have to persuade them to please help us at this budget. Korean translation I ordered yesterday. I ordered a Korean translation for the website. Paul asked me like if he could do this, but I promised so I would do this. So I have to be responsible for what I say. I have to deliver. So, but I did this as well. So yes, sales is definitely what I have to do, but you guys have to help me sell. So when it comes down to this exchange, that's what it is right now. But the beautiful part is this. When we do the blockchain, that's why I really want to do the blockchain as soon as possible, like as soon as possible. But we cannot do this unless we have 200 boxes. We have to sell 200 boxes, so you have the budget to do this. The box here, like let's say like Kevin, let's say this is your box, Kevin. Let's say this is my box, Peter. This is Charles' box. This is Eric's box. This is Michael. This is Joel. This is, I don't know, Apirat from Thailand. This is Try. This is Paul, right? So now, RoninAi gives you signals. But Charles said, you know what? Fuck this shit. I want to do my own signals. Like I know Charles will really want to do this, and I'm actually sending him something to help play with new strategies. So Charles said, you know what, guys? I can do better strategies, which I think he can, actually, because he's really, really into this fucking thing. And you guys will like, oh, so RoninAi, for example, does 20% return so far at whatever, 1.5 Sharpe ratio. And Charles creates 10 more strategies, 9 of which will suck, or 8 of which will suck. 1 will be the same as this. And number 10 will be 22% at also 1.5 Sharpe ratio. You guys will say, wow, this is fucking much better. Even I'll say this is much better. So Paul, for example, will say, fuck that, I'm sticking to Ronin. Peter I'll say, I can't even trade this fucking thing because, I cannot do front running. So I mean, not part of it. Charles will say, I'm definitely trading this. Kevin, like, let's say you say, let's say Eric will probably stay with this, but everybody else will join. I'm just like saying, So how do you pay for the signals now? You pay for our signals $1,200 a month, a year. $1,000 a year, well, $1,200 a year subscription kind of, and you get box as a gift, right? That's kind of the new thing. So how do you pay this? With tokens. So you would pay. Why would Charles create his own strategies? Because you will pay him with tokens. That's why you need tokens. So let's assume that you, Kevin, here have 5 million tokens. Now you can pay for those signals with tokens for many, many years, hopefully lots of years. So this part I think you understand. But 500 people from United States, from Canada, from Italy, from Macedonia, from Thailand, from Vietnam, from Korea, from Latin America, from Russia, from all parts of Russia, hopefully from Japan and China, we are all making money. We are covered in the news. I'm being more and more invited. I'm already invited to like lots of speaking engagements, but I'm more and more related to blockchain and crypto. But now I'm invited just to pitch RoninAi because it's such a great project. Now new people come in and say, like new 1,000 people come in and they say, hey, I would like to also make money with this project. Like, can I please buy boxes? We say, sure. They buy boxes, but those boxes don't generate any tokens anymore. So they say, oh, I got the box, so I have the physical box. That's great. But now how do I trade it? Like, how do I like get signals? We'll say, well, you can buy signals. They say, can I buy them with dollars? You say, no, you can't because you're too fucking late. Because when we told you guys, when you told, let's say that person is like person Bob, like we call him Bob. Because Bob, when you told you to buy this shit in 2019, you ignored us. And only people who did not ignore us, like you, Kevin, like Eric, like Charles, like everybody mentioned here, you guys are getting the benefit because you guys supported us originally. But you, Bob, did not support us. So basically, fuck you. Now you have to use buy the signals with tokens. But he says, but I don't have tokens. No shit, Bobby. You don't have tokens. So go buy them from whoever wants to sell them. So we create this internal exchange. It does not have to be a public exchange. It could be just a website where, like, for example, you, Kevin, will put like, okay, I want to sell of the 5 million tokens. I would like to say 100,000 tokens. And somebody wants to buy those 100,000 tokens. Or for example, you'll say, I want to sell 100,000 tokens at whatever, say like $1.23, right? And somebody will say, well, you know what, I want to, buy 50,000 tokens at, say $1.22. So we'll create this little, it's not going to be an exchange, it's going to be an internal marketplace, which we can definitely do. So also, we selling our own points, whatever, it's points. So you're going to sell it to these people. That's it. No problem. Or you can hold it, hoping for the upside. Like whatever. It's really going to be whatever at that point in time. Right? So this is really, this idea is really fucking cool. What's really cool is that the software, the customization thing that we'll try to create with Max and the rest of the development team, and obviously with you guys, with your input, that shit is so powerful because Charles has coding skills, obviously. Charles is a genius, so he has coding skills. But what if my mom here wants also to participate? We need to make sure that my mom can participate. She doesn't know coding. She's a very smart woman, very wise woman, but she does not know coding. And I want her to create a strategy. So she'll be able to create a strategy by just dragging the fucking sliders and check boxes and just selecting things. And magically, of the 100 strategies she creates, 90 will be shit. 9 will be like so-so, and 1 will be genius. And here's a drum bell. A PhD guy will come in, PhD in economics from Stanford University with Nobel Prize for whatever, behavioral physics. I don't fucking know. He was the first person to fly to the space and also the first person to run a 100-mile marathon in under 1 hour. And he will also create 100 strategies. And guess what? Of his 100 strategies, 90 will be complete shit, 9 will be so-so, and 1 will be genius. Same thing. My mom and him will have equal chances of creating a genius strategy. And then that strategy could be sold for tokens. So new members, if they want to join our network, they have a number of ways to get tokens. Create a strategy for everybody for the network. Then you get it. If the strategy is good, people will pay you tokens for that strategy, for the signals. Second, you can mine. So you can buy lots of boxes and start mining with the boxes. Therefore, you can be full nodes. And third, buy before on the pre-mine. Or buy from you guys. So that's kind of the idea. So I think that's a whole very like once that last part came to me, like I really understood this, like that my mom can create strategies. Like that was really like powerful. But I got this only 3 months ago. The last part, the last piece of the puzzle. I was like, wow. After that, I was like, fuck. So Kevin, anything else for today? We can do definitely more. I'm recording this because I would like to post this for everybody to see. Because I think, trust me, Kevin, I know your background. If it's not clear to you, chances are it's not clear to lots of people. Because you're a very smart man, obviously. So thank you for this. These questions are extremely important to be clarified because other people need to be. And I'm probably just not doing a good job of explaining them. So, all right. So that's it, right? It's 10 p.m. on a Sunday. All right, sir. I'm going to post this very soon whenever it gets uploaded. And thank you so much for your questions. If you have anything, yeah, perfect. Talk to you, sir. Bye.